You're transatlantic.
I'm a transatlantic babe these days. I hate
Yeah.
traveling like this.
Oh, I hate traveling. I hate flying.
Okay, well, that seems like the lead in of all lead ins. Folks at home, I think Steven wants to talk about his trip.
Well,
So, in case you didn't know, Steven just got off a plane, and so did I. But whose trip are we going to talk about? His. Hit
okay,
it,
well,
Steven.
I'm only bringing it up because this is a movie about planes. Like,
It
honestly.
is a movie about planes. Yes.
So I don't feel like
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm grasping for straws here to want to talk about our recent plane travels.
Oh, so you're not forcing your agenda. Got it.
As I mentioned before, I'm not a great flyer.
You're not.
I'm not.
Is historically speaking,
I'm
and
not.
the stories that you tell, your plane stories are amongst my favorite. They're
I
probably
tend
my favorite.
I tend to have a negative experience on board.
Yes,
So
he does. So I'm excited.
So I was recently flying back from an island, St. Martin. Hate bragging, but
Say more.
I was already nervous to begin with because the flight takes off and the runway is one of those runways where you run out of room because at the end of the runway is the ocean.
Just like a barge, just like taking off a barge.
Just like taking off a barge ship on
Yes.
Top Gun Academy.
Yes. Wow.
So,
Shocked.
of course, that was already running through my mind. Are we going to make it? We did. And then we got off, and the plane ride was fine. Actually, it was great. Like, it was very smooth. I even was able to read a book on a plane, which I rarely
yes.
am able to do.
Okay, good for you.
And we're about 30 minutes from our destination. And I kind of workshopped the material on you, but I will tell the true story.
Tell the true story.
The true story is that one of the flight attendants got on the intercom and said, "We're going to make our descent." That's normal. We'll be on the ground in 30 minutes. And then she adds this little nugget. She goes, "Please trust the pilot's decisions as we make our descent."
Not what I want to hear.
Not what I want to hear.
Not even close.
Not only not what I want to hear, a sentence I've never heard in my life.
Yeah, no, it's like I'm not an expert in flight. Do
No.
not allow me a peek behind that curtain.
No.
Don't tell me about the decisions you're about to make. Just make them.
Just make them. I was like, let's just be honest with each other here. Like, let's just say what's going to happen and say
Seriously.
that it's going to be the worst 20 minutes of your life.
Imagine they said that instead.
I would
Real rough landing ahead, folks.
honestly, like, it would have made it any better, but I would have respected them more if they were just honest with us. And I will say that during the next 20 minutes, I did not trust their decision making. I have
What
never.
was it like? Just bad turbulence?
So I guess it was like a really quick thunderstorm that was passing through, and we had to go through it. And I've never been jostled around so much on a plane in my entire life.
This makes me like really stop and think, what decisions are the pilot making? What are those decisions? Like fly this way or this way? Like you're flying
As far as I'm
through a
concerned, there should be
storm.
no decisions that they're making.
There's no decision. Isn't it like autopilot kind of?
It's
Like,
all
what are the
autopilot.
choices?
It's all autopilot. They're not sitting there flicking the joystick back and forth to straighten it out. It's all computer.
That's what I'm saying. So like, what?
What are the decisions?
What trust do I have to have? Like, you
And also,
push
what was the
button.
other choice? That's
Turn
what I would
around.
like to.
Flip upside down and take a photo?
My thing with flights, and especially like a phrase I hate to hear is, "We are going to encounter some unexpected turbulence."
You
as
saw
if
it.
it's a surprise.
You saw
that
it coming.
I was like, we left 4 hours ago. It's no surprise that we're here now. Like, no one should be surprised that we're near New York City 4 hours after we left.
Oh my goodness. Well,
It
I
truly
had a
was
smooth
awful.
one.
And
Do you start panicking in turbulence?
obviously. So
do?
as soon as I feel it, I know I'm like, okay, we're going down. So I grab the barf bag and
you do. Wow, that's intense.
yeah. And then I usually try to eat something like a sour, like kind of like a gummy candy.
Okay.
I find that very comforting.
Because if you're gonna go down, you want to go down eating a Sour Patch Kid.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go down swinging.
I want an acid burn on my tongue.
I'm also like the person who, as soon as, like, I'm like, okay, this is it. I immediately turn to the woman next to me and I start talking to her. And I'm sure it was like her nightmare.
I was gonna ask if you are that type because you are usually like rather avoidant, and I was like, will you start making small talk? Will you hold someone's hand
Well,
next to you?
I almost grabbed her hand, but I did say to her, I was like, "Do you know the pilot?" Because they're talking like,
Why would you even ask that?
well, because they sounded like trust the pilot. That's something you would say to a dear, like, to trust me. That's
To a
something you would
friend.
say to somebody. Like I was saying to you, like on middle school day when you went to the ropes course, like trust us, and then you jump off the plank. This is
Oof.
not something you say to a stranger.
Yeah, that's a trust fall exercise with your
Yeah,
middle
trust
school
fall.
friends.
And something that doesn't, you never really say trust me when it requires actual trust.
No, yeah, trust me is a throwaway. Trust
It's a throwaway.
me. It's a
kind
movie
of
line.
It's kind of cute. It's a more cute thing to
It
say.
is really cute. It kind of reminds me of when we were like really workshopping in what situation we would have to say bring it on for in real
Yeah.
life. Cute. It's just like cutesy. It's not
I
real.
the only place I would want to hear someone say trust me is maybe at like a carnival when they're playing a game for you and you're like and you want them to win the goldfish for you.
Trust me,
Trust
I got
me.
this.
Right. That's where I would say, okay,
Trust me is so cutesy.
not on a plane.
I feel like it would be like, I'm gonna order you this really cool drink, and
Yeah.
they're like, wait, really? And I'm like, trust me, you're gonna
Trust
love it.
me. Low stakes items.
Low stakes. That's the summary. Trust me is a low stakes phrase.
But you
for
know what's
me.
interesting is that like it actually is kind of the theme of the movie. Not to jump to the movie
No,
and
it
edit out your airplane story, which we can circle back to. But
I don't have
like
an airplane story, really.
a big theme of the movie is that like you cannot trust strangers in the air.
Yeah, it's like very
That's
much
the theme in the movie.
it's about trust.
It's about trust.
And I don't trust Tom Cruise very much in this movie.
Well, what's weird about Tom Cruise that's flying in the movie is that everyone loves to say publicly that he's a mess. But then they love to pull him aside individually and be like, "Oh my god, you're such a good pilot. I just can't tell anyone else because
Yes, they kept
so
doing that
good."
so many times in the movie.
They're
They're
like, "Oh my god, you're so good."
that is some of the best flying I have seen. But
Yeah, but
that shit you pulled in the last 10 seconds
yeah,
is about to get you expelled.
or they always like would whisper it under their breath, like, "Oh, he's good."
This movie is corn. Straight corn. Cheese.
It is corn. I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started. It's definitely like not my favorite Tom Cruise movie. I know it is for a lot of people. And then we started to think like, who are the people that like this movie?
That's the
Hard
question
to
of
tell.
the hour. Question of the hour. Who is this for?
Who is it for?
Men? Women?
Well, I think like
Families?
I mean, when it came out, like right, like movies were either for men or for women.
Or for women? And it was very
so
clear
who is this
which.
movie for?
Do you feel like they thought they made a movie for men and then it just so happened that it was
I
like
think so.
sexy for women?
I think so. I think it was like the movie that you would go to on a date. Like the guy would drag the girl, but then the girl would be like,
But the girl was
I
like,
loved it.
great movie. Yeah, I
Learned a
just
lot.
really do feel like nothing was intentional about the sexy times.
No, the sexy times were weird. I mean, we have Tom Cruise storming into the ladies' room and
We do.
and like
Not funny anymore.
very funny depiction of what it means to be a lady in STEM.
Yup.
Just kind of throwing out a word salad of terms.
Bunch of terms. And name her Charlie, because that's a man's name.
Charlie as a man's name. And I know that this was probably what the movie's intent was, but whenever she was talking, especially about airplane science, I just wanted to be like, give it a rest.
You're not serious, are you, babe? I
And
thought it was inappropriate. Like a
every time she
wildly
would-
inappropriate love
every
affair.
time she would give a lecture, one of the students would always chime in and be like, "You're so wrong."
I was there, and I've seen it, and you're wrong.
And then
she's
they would
like,
always make her go, "Oh, can you please tell me? Please, please, please." And they'd be like, "No."
show me. Prove it. And you want to know what? I did want them to produce the Polaroid. I said, get it. And they
Well, I
didn't.
don't understand why they didn't take the
get it.
Polaroid out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get it.
I would have gotten a little court order to turn that over. This didn't seem like something, and I mean, we'll get into it into the movie too, but I really, even at the very end, and I've seen it before, but it's been a long time. I who was the enemy?
Oh, I know. That was
Who was the enemy?
I was like imaginary computer / Russia was the enemy.
Okay, they didn't say who the enemy fighters
They
were. Did
they kept going. The other side would really argue about where the border of this one was, but
Yeah.
I think we got him. And it was like, what are you saying?
Like, especially in the first scene. Okay, I mean, we can just start. But
Today's movie is Top Gun.
Top Gun, starring Tom Cruise. First guy, just a guy, and there are really no women characters in the movie anyway. So,
Well, you want to know what was shocking? Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan,
Being
they
Goose's
gave her the
wife.
role of a lifetime for.
She is hamming it up in this movie.
It reminds me of what Kathy Griffin would always call roles that she would get, which would be a 5 and under, which means 5 lines or under.
Under
It was-
5, baby. That's what they used to call co-stars on television. They were called under 5s.
She definitely had 5 or under lines. It was
She made
so
the most.
bizarre.
She made the most out of it.
Yeah.
She had a big job to do too, which was convince another woman that Tom Cruise was in love with that other woman.
She did have a lot of heavy lifting to do.
She went,
and
well, I'll be damned if that boy doesn't love you. And I was like, wait, what?
It was I mean, I felt good to see her, but it was also like, I cannot believe this is what they gave her to do in this movie.
It was shocking. It was shocking. I could only conclude that in '86 she wasn't like Meg Ryan yet. That's kind of
Yeah.
how I felt. But okay, I'm totally digressing because I love Meg Ryan. But this is the first time we've done a star vehicle just geared towards a man, because
Yeah.
we normally like to just like, if we're gonna do a guy too, we like to tack on a lady that we love.
Yeah.
And we did tackle Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz,
Which
whom
won
we
our
love.
award for the best movie of last year.
It won our Academy Award, so you're going to
Yeah.
want to check that out. And we also wanted to mention up top that, surprise, you've been listening to season 1 of Star
Season
Vehicle.
1. And
You
it's the
did-
season finale. You didn't know it. Actually, you
didn't know?
probably knew. You probably knew.
I'm going to go ahead and say we didn't even know.
We didn't know.
But we've decided
That
we're
this
going
is
to call this the season finale of season 1 of the Star Vehicle Pod.
And it could, come back in 2 weeks. Who knows? But it could also come back in a month or 2.
And you know what?
That's
Who
how it
knows?
works. That's how it works.
I just feel like we needed like a really nice bow on this season for Star Vehicle. So that's Top Gun today, 1986, in prep for Top Gun Maverick 2022.
can't wait.
Can't wait. I think I'm going to go on IMAX. And this will be a crossover. I'll do this for the YouTube.
Oh, good.
Full disclosure, cried multiple times at this movie.
Okay. I didn't. I mean, I would say
Did I
that.
get emotional?
No, but I would say that, and as I've referenced before, Tom Cruise is for sure my favorite male movie star. Now, for me,
Action star for me. I have to like qualify it.
Now, I would also have to qualify mine by saying I understand that he's a real life crazy person.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Like my love of Tom
You
Cruise
don't need
is,
to
like,
you don't
embarrassing.
need to let me know. I know
Yeah.
that. I know he's a real life crazy person.
Yeah.
But I also find that real life crazy person energy really shows up on screen in a really impactful way.
It works.
Yeah, his
works.
full body engagement and listening with other people is wonderful.
Yeah. Do you think that's the Scientology? The full body listening?
Yeah. That's the intro Scientology.
Yeah,
The
listening.
intro course. The one that I've always wanted to take.
Agree. If they didn't take my email address
And your
I
home
would-
address.
or any information, I
Yeah.
would take the intro because I
Yeah,
just
for
want to
sure.
know. Acting is listening. I have taken many an acting class, and it's full body listening.
Full body listening. But
And he's great at it.
he's really good. I mean, he's really charming in the movie and definitely holds it together because so many other characters in the movie are so one note and almost very wooden.
Yes,
So-
yes. There's one character in particular. I think it's Iceman with the frosted tips, who I'm
Oh,
just
he's
like,
my
"Ooh."
favorite.
He's my second favorite, but
I definitely identify with a lot of things that came out of his mouth.
because he's the only one actively challenging our like leading man. Because as you pointed out before we got on, even the instructors are like, "Damn, he's good," and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh,
I love that Iceman was constantly reminding us that this is insane.
Yeah, like you
Like,
can't fly like this.
you
You
can't just
weirdo.
make it up. You can't just make it up as you go.
On the fly. This isn't a video game.
Yeah, it was. So I really appreciated his sensibility, especially when it came to following rules.
And you do love the rules.
But
So
anyways,
yeah. Okay,
that's
Top Gun starts on like a whole bunch of just B-roll of planes over the opening credits, and I was like, okay, can we
okay,
please?
before that, we have to back up. Before that, it's
Oh.
Paramount Pictures, so we know it's a big movie. Number two, then we're greeted with a paragraph of information that tells us that this is a
reminds me
movie
like
about,
Law and Order.
It was very dun dun.
It was like, these crimes are the most heinous. Dun dun.
But it was funny because they talked about this school. You're right. This school as if it was hidden at the bottom of the ocean, because this school,
elite.
yeah, and this school is responsible for uncovering the lost art of aerial combat. That's what it said. It did remind me of this one time when I thought about joining or taking like karate classes. It felt very similar to that. Like, it felt very karate energy.
You're like,
to
if
me.
I could just start, I think I'd make it all the way to the top.
Right. I was like, I think I can go from a yellow belt to a black belt. So it was very
That paragraph was peak drama.
well, what's interesting about the that title card paragraph is that when you jump to the next scene, if it's your first time watching the movie, you would assume you are at the Top Gun.
Me too. That's exactly what I thought. You can see it in my reaction.
And I haven't seen it in a minute, right? I haven't seen this movie in a minute.
Yeah, I haven't
and
seen it in like 15
they're
years.
sort of like, okay, go for it, take off, buddy boy. And I'm like, okay, we're at the school.
We're
Like,
at the Top Gun Academy. Down. Can't wait.
And then I'm like, okay, we're not. Because now all of a sudden there are enemy fighters. And this is where I was still confused again, because they
those are
never
enemy
name.
fighters? In the opening scene, I assumed it was a drill again.
Right. But there is somebody out there, right?
Yeah, but it's like fake.
Is it?
I thought in the opening it was fake.
I don't think so.
Because they don't actually ever fire. They just go, got a lock on him. And then once you get the lock, that was your victory. Because you don't have to fire.
Okay.
But I can't remember now.
No, because in the first scene, right, they're with the one guy who gets really startled from the other planes and he quits.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was a drill. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. I have no idea.
It was hard for me to tell. I'm
Either
gonna
way,
watch it again in editing.
Yeah. Either way, the movie tells us that it's very dangerous because they play the song Danger Zone. And they repeat it. They repeat it
so
constantly.
Many repetitions of the same songs in
The
this.
first time I heard it, I thought,
Shocking.
okay, this is fun. This is a really fun mood song.
It's like, highway to na-na.
Okay,
and
then
you're
they
like,
repeat
okay.
it 30 times.
Yeah, this movie will make you crazy. It'll make you. It's like that time Al had to listen to Tiny Bubbles. On the
No,
wall.
you are right, because there are two flights in the beginning. The first one is a drill, and then the
Okay.
second one
Is for reals.
is for real, and that's where the guy
when
gets scared.
the main guy gets freaked out and he quits.
Yeah, you're right. Because in the very first scene, and this did make me laugh, when Tom Cruise lands the plane after the first drill or whatever, the boat staff, whatever you call them, they were like they're constantly shocked. They're like, wow.
Whoa, the boat staff.
Yeah, well, I was like, it did remind me of Below Deck, so I wondered if there was a Below Deck for the military.
I cannot. The opening really, it really takes its time for me.
Yeah.
Like you said before we got on, a lot
Well, it's
of
confusing.
plane scenes. And I'm hyper reliant on their commentary to let me know what's happening.
Well,
And
yeah.
they are not naming this enemy. We are just left to assume
They're not naming the enemy,
it's
but they are.
loosely communist.
I think so, because they keep referencing that, okay, this is post-Vietnam War. There seems to be a concern about communism. So
Yeah.
now the location, they did tell us, is the Indian Ocean, which is one of the
Indian
two oceans I
Ocean.
always forget, along with the Arctic.
I always
And-
forget Indian Ocean. It's number one I forget.
Yeah, you always forget it. And I was trying to then think, okay, who would be near the Indian Ocean? But then I couldn't remember. So then I wrote again, like, who is the enemy here? Really hard to tell. And
It's unclear.
And I guess this is supposed to be thrilling, watching these planes kind of zig and zag. But what was especially hard about this scene and all the other scenes in the air was that all of the planes looked exactly the same. So
I couldn't
as
tell
you're
one
watching,
from the other.
right, and then even when they would zoom in into like the cockpit, it was hard to tell what was going on.
It took me like till half the movie to understand Goose is sitting behind Maverick the
Very,
whole time.
yeah, that's right.
And I would like to give myself a pass here because the camera being in Goose's face implies that the camera is sitting in Maverick's seat. Therefore, right. I'm like, there's no there's not even a piece of Maverick in the frame, so I can't tell that Goose is behind him.
Yeah, like never
but
a scene where like
clues, I was able to glean.
Yeah. Like we never got a scene where Maverick like looks behind him to talk to him, like
that's like what I needed. I needed
like in
the
Star
context.
Wars or something. So
that's exactly right. So it took me a while, but I will say that like it works because there's so much in-air communication happening.
Yeah.
That we're getting it's being narrated.
Yeah. And I bet this is where the boys in the audience would really shine because they would get it.
The boys would get it, yeah.
They'd be like, oh my God, Veronica, they're sitting in the same plane.
Idiot. Yeah. No, I notoriously like check out during action sequences. Like my brain can't follow them, and I was hyper reliant on their like commentary. And it was clear, like some points they'd be like, "Oh my God, he just cut me off," and then it would be they would show like a plane cutting another plane off.
Right.
And
You're right.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's for the ladies.
Veronica. Yeah, it was just hard to tell. It was a hard scene to watch when you don't know where anyone is and who anyone is. So, but all we find out is that one of the guys gets so traumatized by this near enemy experience that he's out.
He turns in his labels.
He turns in his little lapel, and he says, "I'm out." And then this was a really good scene because then
I cry laughed at how quickly
he calls in Tom Cruise, who essentially caused this guy's severe panic attack.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he was number one, and I have to send somebody to the top flight school where you learn the coolest things, and you're number two, so I guess you have to go now.
Guess you're in.
I was like, I love rewarding bad behavior.
It's a movie about rewarding bad behavior. I was crying, like this part was perfect, and that is when I realized we weren't at Top Gun yet.
No, that's like when I did there. Because then he does say you're going to go to Top Gun. And I said, okay, let me re-edit what I've watched so far.
I in real time was like, oh shit, okay, we weren't there. Got it.
Yeah.
This is a real movie about second place. Let's just say
it is. He's constantly in second place.
Yeah, second best. We got to learn to support your wingman. And Tom Cruise is a leading man. He's not. Let's just say he's not on this planet to play second banana to anyone.
No, which is strange. That I guess that's what makes the movie so shocking when you get to the end, that you see how comfortable he is.
He has to
being second banana.
He has to get there. That's his character's arc.
That's his.
He arcs.
He arcs all right. Well, we're off to the Top Gun school, which is what we've already learned about in the little paragraph where they uncover the lost art of aerial combat.
I did write at that point, how efficient is aerial combat? It can't be that efficient.
It just seems like it's from a time gone by.
It doesn't seem ridiculous to me.
It doesn't seem as relevant anymore. Than it might have been in maybe like World War II. I don't know.
This is gonna I feel like I'm disrespecting the art of the Top Gun.
Yeah.
But I really did wonder, like, why would we be fighting in the air? It seems like you can't really get that many bad guys down.
True. Yeah.
But I guess you do want to get them out while they're in the air so they can't cause more damage on land. Is that like the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't want them to drop bombs on you, so I guess that's important. But I think you're right in the sense that
get them down.
It feels like a real vanity project.
It felt like some guys wanted to play video games in the sky.
Right.
That's kind of how I felt about Top Gun.
Yeah.
All right.
And it does seem, and this is a really, as we get through the kind of the educational aspect of it, and this is a really niche reference, but it did seem like the Disney College program of flying.
No one at home understands
No
what
one
the
gets
DCP is.
But it seemed like we were really not there to learn anything and sort of just to have traumatic experiences. But
Sure. I would
I
say
mean,
that.
someone dies during the training. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Okay.
That's intense. Yeah. We finally
Okay.
get to Top Gun. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruising hard.
He's not acting very grateful to be there. He's being a little disruptive in class.
There is so much macho male energy in that first class sequence, and it's just like Tom just like staring daggers around the room, sizing up who's the best.
Yeah.
Oof.
He
Tough.
knows he's the most talented, and he's not afraid to make everyone else feel like an idiot. And I think we're supposed to go, that's cool.
That's cool. If I just kept thinking if I could bottle an ounce of that energy,
Yeah.
I would have
Responsibly use it.
not even, but if I could bottle an ounce of that energy and take it as a pill, my dreams would come true tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
how quickly it would manifest in my life. Like this just
Yeah.
attitude of I'm the best, I know it, and
I do admire
take
his
a
like
seat.
total like relaxed state. Like he's constantly at a
He's
place
chilling.
of relaxation. I feel like his heart rate never rises above.
60.
Yeah.
even in the air.
Even in the air, like
It's like 72
He's
in
at
the air.
rest at all points of his life. Meanwhile,
That's a
my
good
resting heart rate is
observation.
like 95.
No, but like in the air especially, oh my god, I'm dead. Tom Cruise, you're right. I think he has intense control of that.
Yeah.
Right of his.
Yeah,
Essential
I remember they
nervous
did it on the
system.
mole once, where they one of the challenges was that they made them like stand on like beams over a building, and they weren't
Oh my
allowed to
God.
like work their way down until they got their heart rate to a to like a level, and each time like they climbed up, like their heart rate had to go down, otherwise they couldn't advance.
That sounds cruel and unusual and
It would have
awesome.
taken me 3 years to do that
I
challenge.
think I would have been able to do it. I would have
I
gotten
couldn't do
used
that.
to it.
But
Whew.
So anyway, he's very disrespectful, but then they go to a night out at the local watering hole where
Local watering hole.
it's all pilots and they're all in their whites.
I
And-
was dying at the dialogue between him and Goose when
Yeah.
he's just like, "You're gonna get a lady tonight." It was so
I mean,
on the nose.
there's like 3 women in the bar and there's 95 guys. It's very strange.
real sausage party.
And they pick their target, and then they surround her and ambush her.
And
In
target
song.
is the correct word
Target is the right word. It was very
because
uncomfortable.
it was an attack via song.
Via song. It was
Yeah.
how they organized it, I don't know. But they were able to
And just like Tom Cruise's Maverick talking about it like it's his go-to move, like as if he's done it before and this isn't the first time.
it was very strange because it was
He's
a
like-
group song, and afterwards
song?
she throws up her hands and she goes, "Well, okay."
Take
You-
a seat. You got me. Sit down, buddy. I was like, this isn't sexy.
It was so weird because she literally was like, "Oh, okay, guys, that was
Okay.
good. That was good."
I struggled to wonder if I would have loved or hated that because I notoriously like love it when like a guitar comes out or like a song happens at a
Yeah.
party. But I just wonder if I would think that was sexy. Probably no.
I think that if I was surrounded in a half moon circle like that, where I couldn't get out, and people were just singing at me, I would
And-
probably ask them to stop.
And it's like kind of the happy birthday song. Like I don't want that kind of attention at me in
No,
song.
it was like, I mean, the only other times you see that is that if it's your birthday at Red Robin and all the waiters surround your table,
And it's embarrassing and
It's
scary.
humiliating.
You're like you're kind of like
and you just
will
try to
this
pretend like
ever
it's your
end?
yeah, you just try to pretend it's your mom's birthday instead, even though the cake is in front of you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my god, stop it, please. And you're like hyper aware of how long Happy Birthday is, and it's not even that long. Like it's a short
No,
song.
and they all have their like they all have their unique take on it too. So it's like you don't even know when it's gonna end.
Everyone gets a line, and I did wonder, are we gonna do the whole song?
Yeah,
And we didn't.
thank God.
We didn't. We bowed out.
But she's
Wait,
like so.
I'm trying to remember the song.
I
'cause
can't
it's
remember it.
Iconic. Damn. Now I have to look it up. Talk while I look it up.
So anyway, she they sit down, they're flirting. I can't remember anything that's going on there. And she gets up to go to the ladies' room and sort of dismisses him in the sense that, like, okay, that was cute, but we're not actually going to get married right
And
now.
I was psyched about that. I was like,
Yeah, me
okay, cool.
too.
Yeah, the song didn't work entirely.
Didn't work.
Because if
And
she just like threw herself at him after that song, I'd have been like, okay, this is like nowhere in the realm of reality.
Right. So it was, I think, yeah, it was good to see because it was kind of like she was able to make a little bit of fun out of him.
Yeah,
And she
she's
gets
like,
up.
okay, it's fun. It's Casanova. Gotta go.
Yeah, and she goes to the ladies' room, but that doesn't stop Tom Cruise. He just marches right into the ladies' room.
He's a solo artist, Maverick, and he is gonna do what he wants.
Yeah, that was a weird scene. I don't think they would do that anymore. But
March is in there.
and again, she's real
And we
she's
don't
really
know
okay
who
with
she is
it.
yet. We don't know her status
No, we don't know who she is.
at Top Gun Academy yet.
So he continues to flirt with her, and they like sort of, there's a will they won't they vibe of, are they going to maybe share a little kiss in the ladies' room? But they don't.
Yeah, harkens back to the question, who was this movie for? Because I was waiting for the kiss right there.
I mean, what the movie is like communicating is that like this is hot, that he followed her into the ladies' room.
Sexy time, yeah.
It's like he must really like her if he's willing to embarrass himself by going into the ladies' room.
Yeah, not
Because ladies go in there, not
yeah.
men.
Yep, and this isn't stalker energy at all. This
No.
is this is a man who knows what he wants and
This
goes
man who knows
after
what he
it.
wants, and she never goes like, "Oh my god, what are you doing in here?" It's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, you are
You're
so
silly.
interested in me. But you're right.
Yeah.
We don't know who she is, and it's sort of like
But it keeps the tension going, and I don't think she thinks she's going to see him again, sort of deal.
no.
Or maybe, no, she knows she's going to see him again.
Yeah, she does because he's in uniform. We don't know who she is, but she definitely knows who he is because when he first sits down, he sort of lets on what he's done before in terms of as a pilot, and you can see in her eyes like this little bit of like an uptick because she starts to realize who he is when they first sit down. Okay, but then it's the next day, and we find out that she's not some random lady.
No.
She's learned.
As you said before we got on, she's a lady in STEM.
She is a lady in STEM.
And she's like higher status than him, even. Like she's a position at the flight school.
She is right.
To brief them.
She makes it very clear to the audience, and this is the point for the men, that she's not a pilot. She just knows everything about planes and space,
Yeah. Yeah.
despite never flying a plane.
Yeah, because she was only allowed to touch books, not actually touch the wheel.
Right. And that's a big point of contention where all the guys like to fall back on that and be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never been in a plane before.
It felt like big time Harry Potter energy, where he was like, "Up when you're in a fight, you don't have time to think. You have to just act."
Yeah.
And he's like, and it was a lot of energy of like, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. And she's sort of like, I think I know it all.
I think she was like, sit down.
And then
sir."
she clearly ripped off all the word of the day of her astrophysicist word calendar, and she uses them all. And it was like, whoa.
I loved this scene because I'd seen this movie like 15 years ago, completely forgot all of like the key elements. So when the lady who we'd just seen at the bar comes through in like full like suit to like lecture them, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, it's Charlie.
Yeah,
It was
it's
great.
a big reveal, and
It's
she's
a
kind
big
of like,
reveal.
gotcha.
She like stomps into frame. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But Tom is like peacocking hard.
Yeah, he is, especially since he knows he has a rival with a frosted tipped Iceman.
Iceman. Yeah. So like Tom is just like posturing for the class. I'm the best and I know it. And Charlie's making the case that one of these like fighters can't go full upside down, like it can't take it, the G's. And Tom is like, no, it can, and I know for a fact because we've done it.
Yeah.
And we had seen that in a previous scene. Him and
Yeah,
Goose,
so we knew he was telling the truth.
we did know he was telling the truth. And that was the point where I wanted him to produce the Polaroid, but he didn't.
Yeah, it was weird because the other guy, rightfully so, is like, okay, you're clearly lying. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, take the Polaroid out.
Yeah, get
And
the
then
picture.
and then it never surfaces. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, I could understand why the other classmates would be would be confused.
Do you think that like the choice was like, I don't have to prove anything to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like that is the idea of like how to be a man, is that you don't need to prove anything to anyone.
Yeah, macho man. Okay, so one more point under column. This is for the boys.
Yeah, this scene is for the boys, and the lady lecturer is for the girls. But it's also for the
Sure.
boys because it's nice to have attractive teachers.
Yeah, attractive teachers. This is like everyone's like fantasy.
And it's like another point for the boys because they are so disrespectful to her. But it's also a point for the girls because she's smart.
Yeah, and she can give it right back.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're at right now. I think we're dead even. Was this for boys or girls?
It's neck and neck.
It's neck and neck in 1986 who this was for, and it's going to be interesting who comes out on top.
Yeah. But and then they sort of, and a lot of these scenes sort of blurred together, but they sort of engage in a bunch of like performance art in the sky where they do these various training exercises.
Yeah.
And honestly, what they were doing made no sense to me, but I did love when, I think it's like after the first day of training, they're in the locker room, which is like a classic scene that is in the movie. It closes out almost every day of training. And then Iceman says to Tom Cruise, my favorite line in the movie, "You are unsafe."
You're unsafe.
I don't like you because you are dangerous.
You're dangerous. He's the only one calling it out
And
for what it is.
I love the line because it was like so, I mean, you could tell they couldn't have paid Tom Cruise to say that line.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
And
not saying that.
I'm not saying that line. So it was just so, it just felt so out of place for the movie. It was like so stilted, like, you are dangerous.
I think it was too on the nose, too unsexy. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
like-
so anti-movie dialogue.
Yeah,
I
it was
wanted to
sort of-
hear even "you are reckless."
It was,
but you're
or just like
unsafe.
something like, it's like, are you trying to get me killed up there? Like, what are you doing?
Much better.
But it was just so funny because he's like, you are dangerous.
You are unsafe.
You are unsafe. And I don't like you because you are dangerous.
I have like a lot of notes at this point of just like flight sequences. I don't really
sequences.
totally understand what's going on. Tom Cruise is reckless. I thought you would get a real kick out of the coffee spill when he flies past like the tower and the
yeah.
instructor spills his coffee.
Yeah.
And we know you hate it when no one reacts realistically to hot coffee.
Yeah. He did it okay.
He didn't go like, ow! He just went, Maverick.
There was a full cup of boiling coffee that spilled on his chest.
Yeah, and he didn't care.
He was literally like, oh.
He was like, nuts.
But yeah. So they do these training exercises, and then I think a memorable scene that comes up after is that they engage in a little game of volleyball on the beach.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
was like,
this
yes,
was a
yes,
scene
yes.
where the points really go in every direction, boy
Yeah.
or girl.
I can't tell. I was like, one for the ladies, just sheer shirtlessness.
I mean,
of it
okay, the
all.
way that they film the volleyball scene is strange because it's a lot of close-ups to the men's chests
Yeah.
and like sweaty bodies.
I did make the note. I think the hair and makeup person would have been standing by with a water bottle, like a spritz bottle,
Yeah.
to get those droplets on the chests and faces.
But it's filmed very like it's filmed as a sexy scene.
Yeah, from it's male. It's like voyeuristic.
Yeah, because what it's not doing is like what we're not getting in this scene is where they're like Tom Cruise is like, okay, we got to make up one more point and we're gonna win the match.
Yeah, it's not competitive
that.
like
it's
that.
like weird, like slow, sexy volleyball.
Yeah, some slow mo, some dives, like chests. He's in tight jeans.
He's in jeans, the worst thing you could wear on the beach. But
Yeah, terrible.
It did make me think because like volleyball day in gym class was always a zoo. And I remember
No fun for me.
I remember just saying to somebody once, I just remember like, it can't be supposed to hurt this much when it hits
It
your
hurts.
when
It hurts so much. No one
As-
prepares you for that first bump.
No. Well, they're always like,
hurts.
okay, just like get your
Your forearms ready.
forearms flat and it'll be perfect. And I just remember
Ow.
being like, okay, the first time I remember it hit my forearms, I just remember being like, this is insane. This cannot be correct.
It hurts so bad. It's like a smack in the arm every time.
And I don't know about you, but it would always like leave my arms like bright red, and then it would be like
screaming red.
and then it would be like, okay, get ready for the next one, and you like try to find a fresh swatch of skin for the ball to strike next time. It was always so painful.
It reminds me of your sunburn right now.
Right.
It hurts.
It looked like my arm. And then another part of the scene that really made me laugh is that, and like, because they kept showing it, so it was obviously featured for a reason, but they kept highlighting the fact that they were wearing their dog tags, which to me, I was just like, as if, like, you only wear your dog tag in situations where you could die, because that way someone could take your dog tag off. And I'm like,
they're wearing it playing volleyball like it's an accessory.
Right, but that's where I think like they were trying to, like, that's where it's like sort of like a point for the boys in the sense where they're trying to show us like, oh, they're being men, they're doing something dangerous.
Like brotherhood.
Right. And then it's for the girls because it's like sexy. So it's very strange.
It's confusing. It feels almost out of place, the volleyball scene. I think that the point was to highlight competition amongst men. But you're right. We are never getting the moment where Tom is like pulling Goose aside going, look, we got one more point till game point. Like, let's blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think...
No. It's just like, get this over with so he can get to the date.
Yeah, and I think that sort of is supposed to... I think it's supposed to make more sense as the movie goes on, because out of all the players on the field, sand, whatever, Tom Cruise is the only one who is not a team player, because he just gets up and leaves during the match. Yeah. And everyone's like, what? Like, we're playing a game. And
I think they had one, like, best, I don't know, they'd won two or whatever, and then Goose is like, one more, and he's like, no, I gotta go.
Yeah. He's like, I have somewhere to go, and I was like, where are you going? Like, it was very unclear that we were now going to go.
She, in the classroom, Charlie, is like kind of verbally sparring with him and leading everyone in the class to believe that she's not about to ask him on a date. And then she writes in red pen on his assignment, date, my place, 5:30 or whatever. Right. So he has an appointment at 5:30. And at 5:15, he's on the sweaty beach. He's finishing the match.
Yeah.
And I did like look up a bunch of like critical stuff for this movie, and a lot of people wrote there's no shot Maverick is spiking the ball like that. Tom Cruise is so short, he could only ever be setting up Goose for those spikes.
True. He like, unless he has like an apple cart in the field that he's stumping up on, he's not spiking the ball over.
Everyone's like, no shot Maverick's doing those spikes. And I was like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. But he goes to her house. She doesn't open the front door, so he figures, let me just walk around the house and find an opening for me to make my way in.
At this point, I did want to know how late he was. Was it at 15? Was it 40? Like, how late was he?
Right, because what's weird about this scene is that they're sort of playing, like, you sort of forget that he was invited because she's acting like he wasn't invited. Because she doesn't open the door. But I know that he was late. That's what I'm saying,
because he's late. So I'm just like, oh, are we led to believe, like, she was like, he's not coming. He's, like, this asshole, blah, blah, blah. It's weird. He goes around back, and he's like, I'm so sorry I'm late. And at that point, I wanted to know, I'm sorry I'm 15 late. I'm sorry I'm an hour late. Like, what was it?
What was it? And she's like, well, I'm hungry. So
I was dead.
All's forgiven.
What I've actually said out loud was, has he showered yet? And he goes, I'm going to go take a shower. And she goes, no, you're not. I'm hungry.
That was funny. It was really
so funny. She goes, you can't shower yet. I'm hungry. And I said, a babe who knows what she wants. Point for girls.
And then they go to have like a liquid dinner. Because what
was dinner?
There was no food.
Was it like salad? I don't even remember it.
There was no food. There was just a bottle of like white wine. And as soon as she gets a little sip of white wine, she's into it.
Yeah. I had a real look. It wasn't a problem, and it was very clearly Tom Cruise's movie. But I still wanted more power in her hands. Like, I was still looking for more from Charlie. Like, I want her to take her power back, but she's just like smitten. She's absolutely smitten by him.
It could have been an interesting scene where she brings him to dinner and she uses it as an opportunity to make fun of him or to put him in his place. Or
they're very much two equals at dinner.
Yeah, and they're sort of playing it up as if she is so excited to be on the date, which I get it. Like I'd be
excited.
Could be a reality, and they are a cute couple for sure. I mean,
Cute.
it's very unprofessional. I mean, let's just get that out of the bag. But
Yeah.
they're cute for sure. And I don't know if it was in the original script or if Tom added it in, but the fact that he gets to end the date when he says, and he just gets up and sort of leaves her there, it's very like, okay, like point for the boys.
It just seems like he got all of the power in this date scenario when I wanted to see her flex teacher muscles.
Yeah, like
Again.
I would have been funny if she just showed him up a little bit with knowledge, but we end up sort of leaving her there slumped over almost, and
Over. That's
she
what
was
you
like
got.
leaning on the couch a little bit.
Do you want to know what I'm sure you didn't clock, but I
What?
clocked and I almost died? When they're eating kind of out back in that airy, like sunlit area, she's a
Yeah.
parrot. There's a parrot behind her.
Oh God.
A full
I think you're
fucking
right. You're right.
parrot.
I remember there was a cage.
Why is there a bird?
She's nuts. That's why. She loves the air. She loves
I
to
just
fly.
have
She probably
date-
watches the bird.
The parrot. This is very quiet. This is very intimate. And then we have to mention they play "Take My Breath Away" so many times.
Well, now
in
this becomes the
movie.
new repetitive. I mean, we've heard Danger Zone 18 times. Now we're going to hear
Now
Take
we're
My
gonna hear
Breath
Take My
Away
Breath Away.
35.
An extra 35.
Like,
It becomes
it's-
like the backing track to their whole romance, and I'm just like, give us some silence, jeez.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing about the movie is that it's not terribly long. It's like an hour 40. So we have to move pretty quickly.
And I'm down.
And we're already like 40 minutes into the movie. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're in another scene where I guess it's after their date and he's showered and they let us know that because he's soaking wet.
Yeah, he goes, I'm gonna shower now, and I was like, okay, cool, finally, because that beach volleyball seemed sweaty.
Yeah. And this was my second favorite line in the movie because they're in an elevator, I think, when they're talking, right?
Yep, and
And
she's
it's just
wearing the cap.
it's just the two of them, and she just leans over to him and goes, "I don't normally invite students to my house." I was like, "Good."
And that's what I wanted. I was like, okay, thank you for telling me that this isn't normal.
Like that's not okay.
I just couldn't tell if this was inappropriate or not. Like, is this I kiss the teacher, or is this
Yeah.
two roughly 25 to 30-year-olds just being adults? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
really
like they're
couldn't
clearly
tell.
of age, so there's no issues there.
Yeah.
But it does seem like it seems like it's something she shouldn't do.
Yeah. There's no mention even of, like, maybe don't mention this to your classmates.
Especially if it
don't
was
tell anyone.
Right, especially if it was flipped, right? And he was the teacher and she was the
Yeah,
student, we would be like,
yeah.
this is gross, right?
Yeah. I think this is where it's points for the boys, because it's like, look, I bagged the teacher.
Yeah, I bagged the teacher, and not only that, like I bagged a teacher who I've already like sort of publicly humiliated. So like I've humiliated her, and she still has,
And she still wants it.
she still wants it. Okay, now it makes more sense.
Points, boys.
Points for the boys, but also points for the girls because that means you could be a teacher and you could find a Tom Cruise in your class. So
And not get in trouble for it.
yeah, okay, even again. It's
We're
even
keeping
again.
it's even. What's
It's
going
even.
on? This movie.
Okay, so then we meet Meg Ryan, who we find out is Goose's wife, right? They're married, right?
Hence why Goose is the perfect literal wingman.
Yeah.
When they do Righteous Brothers, the song in the bar,
Yeah.
Goose tees him up to bag the teacher, and he's like figuratively the wingman because
Yeah,
he's taken.
true.
He has a wife and a kid, and it's cute.
He has a wife, kid, like they're totally happy. Meg Ryan is very normal. I mean, she's like totally over the top, but like,
She's wacky with that Judy Greer energy that we love.
Total Judy
She's
Greer.
great in this movie.
but they're very much communicating that they are in love, normal, like they're good, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. Goose is playing piano. Great Balls of Fire. Another
Right.
little repeat there.
So cute.
So cute.
And
A lot
after-
of close-ups, by the way. Tom's
Yeah.
eyes, her eyes. Charlie's there.
oh yeah,
And Meg Ryan is given one of the wackiest jobs in this movie, which is to say something to the effect of, well, hot damn, Charlie, if that boy don't love you.
yeah, it's very much like, okay, it's shifting us into third gear. Now we're like, okay, do you get it, lady?
Oh my God.
Get your head out of the clouds because this guy loves you
He
and
loves
you love him.
This student loves you.
And after this, again, we continue to see their relationship progress, but we also get a little bit of a speed bump because she doesn't have his back in a classroom setting, and she calls out his flying publicly.
And he is hurt.
He gets on his little hot rod and he storms out of there. He's had it.
Tom Cruise is. This isn't Maverick being mad. This is Tom Cruise mad.
He's pissed.
He's
I bet
so
they said
pissed.
Tom. I bet they said Tom. Don't read page 73, and just I want you to react to whatever happens.
Just do that full body listening in that moment.
And he's like, okay. And when she started mouthing off and saying that he was the worst pilot ever,
You calling him
flips.
mouthing off right now?
Yeah.
No.
That's what he would say, and you know it.
She's publicly calling out his flying, which Iceman has already said is unsafe.
I mean, okay, like what she's not saying is like, oh my God, you're disgusting. I would never want to be a flight attendant for you. What she's saying is that you're so dangerous.
Yeah.
And this is not how we do things.
He's not following protocol a
Right.
lot of the time. And Maverick is just flying by the seat of his pants. We're led to believe he's got sort of this, like, the intuition of his father,
Yeah.
who is an enigma in this movie because Dad died in a classified way. And
Dad died in a classified way, but also Dad died by being, he was like dishonorably remembered.
discharged or something.
No, like after he died, I think they recorded it that it was his fault. Like he was
Or it was something to the effect of Maverick doesn't know if his father's death was his father's actual fault or
Right.
if it was an accident. And that's
Right.
kind of coloring a lot of Maverick's behavior. And
Yeah.
Maverick is reckless. And if anything, I would think it would make Maverick follow the rules harder. But nope.
Right.
He's,
This
like,
is
kind
like
of
star
rogue.
vehicle psychology where it's like you
Yeah.
do the opposite of your parents. So dad might have been or wasn't a good flyer. So I'm just going to act out in the air because I want to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Tom Cruise. He's being a real solo act here, and this isn't the first time we know he's unsafe, but the fact that it's coming from Charlie is a blow to the ego.
Yeah.
But
And
you did point out at multiple times in this movie and before
What?
we got on that under their breath, these instructors are always going, damn, he's good, though.
Oh, he's so good. He's such a good flyer.
He's so
Oh, he's so good.
So she publicly humiliates him, but she very quickly catches up to him and says, do you have it?
I see some real genius in your flying.
You have it?
Yeah, of course. I love the line.
Thank God.
I've seen some real genius in your flying.
I've seen some real genius, but you know, like, I couldn't say it then.
You know I can't say it in front of the boys, babe.
Yeah.
And this was like this, instead of saying I love you, she says that. And that's his love language is compliments about his flying.
Yeah, it strokes to the ego.
So he's like, oh, you're good. And then this was cringe. Then we sort of like drift into their
Take
love
my
scene.
breath away.
And they dim it, so it's kind of all black and blues, the coloring. And
Yes.
which I got
Kind of-
excited for because I thought, okay, we're going to be in and out. But I was like, it
For
was too
a
long.
PG movie,
Yeah.
this was sexy.
It was a long love scene for a scene where everything is blacked out.
I'm saying points, girls.
Oh, points girls, yeah.
I'm saying points, girls. This is a movie for women at this point.
Yeah.
They're not screen kissing, which is no tongue. They are full tongue kissing.
Yeah,
It
it's
is so
a
sexy.
very long love scene in the dark.
I hate to go like movie factoid on y'all, but this was an additional scene. They screened this, and
It didn't have a scene.
folks at home didn't like that they didn't have like some real sexy time to their relationship, so
Oh.
they added the elevator scene and they added this sexy time love scene. And the sheer curtain and the blues of it all was because Tom Cruise's hair was longer because he was on a different movie, and her hair was different, and she had lost a little bit of weight for her next project.
Gotcha. I think that the elevator scene was a great addition. I think that this scene was a good addition too. I think it was just a little bit too long for a short movie.
I think the additions were very Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think that the movie's fine without him, because I think we are slightly confused why she's sleeping with a student. We're kind of like, huh? So,
I mean, he also just like flipped out on her. So
yeah, and that's supposed to be hot. So I think you can tell these are editions almost.
Yeah.
These are very Hollywood editions.
But it's also supposed to inform the next scene that, okay, so he's had this magical night with his teacher. Weird. Then like the very next
Weird.
day, that's when we get like the most iconic and boring line in the movie where he tells Goose, I have the need for speed. So
The
dumb.
need for speed. I notoriously love it when like famous movie lines happen on screen and I get very excited.
Yeah.
I almost snoozed past this one. I
Well,
was
it's
like,
funny.
that's it.
Well, it's like when I think of the movie, the one thing I don't think about is that line. So when it was
Me
said,
neither.
it was one of those things where I heard it and I was outside of my body where I was like, okay, I know that line, but I don't remember why. And then because it's honestly like the lamest line in the movie. Because like what we were
It
saying
is.
before is that it's a strange line because it's so literal. Like what they're
Mm-hmm.
telling us is that we're gonna fly the plane fast,
Yeah, duh.
which I was like, yeah,
I if you gave me a multiple choice quiz and it was like, I have the need for speed. What's this movie from? Fast and Furious 1, Top
right.
Gun, Speed Racer.
Cars too.
I would circle Fast and Furious 1. Like I just would never attribute that line to this movie.
I mean, for me, I don't normally invite students to my house. It's such a funnier line.
Much
It's just,
better. Much better line.
but
Much better. I like there's no points for second place. I like those themes.
yeah,
They
but
are constantly just ragging on Tommy Cruise saying like you can't be second.
yeah,
And what we failed to mention so far, which I also think is the most boring part, but also points for boys,
yeah,
is this is a movie about competition because they are in competition over a trophy for best flyer in flight school,
yeah.
which is weird.
They sort of pepper in this information as we go, but we find out that you get points every day for what you do.
Yes.
Now, what I'm surprised they didn't do, which would have been interesting, is like sometimes you see it in like movies where score is important, where they sort of flash to the scoreboard at the end of every day to
Sure,
let us
would have taken
know.
one of those.
Because we get a locker room scene every day at the end of the day, and it's
Which is
interesting
like
that they
3 times.
right. But what's interesting is that they don't have like a scoreboard in the locker room for you to know where anybody is because you are then reminded at this point in the movie that I guess Tom Cruise and Iceman are the only two that are out in front, and it's essentially neck and neck between the two of them.
Yeah, it is until one
Maybe
day.
they're tied.
One day, like a lower guy overtakes Iceman or something. So then that's when Goose says, "You're lucky we're still in it. You're reckless, Maverick. You abandoned your wingman.
Yeah.
But at least we're still in it."
Yeah. And I think that yeah, we're still in it. And then I think this is the day. So this day after they've had their magical night, um
And it was magical.
it was magical. And then we're going to go from magic to kind of a sad day, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
little
Peaks
just a
and
tiny-
valleys we call it during training.
highs and lows, baby.
Highs and lows. So now we're going to have a low because we're going to go up in the air. And again, this is just training. They're just bobbing and weaving in the air to learn, okay? And it's Tom Cruise and Iceman and their respective partners, and they're doing different bobs and weaves trying to fake shoot down another plane. Very confusing, but I guess there's something to do with the scoring where they have to do it quickly to shoot down the other person and you get more points. So Iceman, I guess, is trying to slow Tom Cruise down by getting in his way or something like that. It's very unclear.
The strategy to me would have been lost. I just know we're in the air, and I know
It's only because they're like articulating it where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to, he's slowing us down, whatever. And this is something we've seen at the very beginning of the movie, but there's also a concern for fuel because they don't have a lot of fuel on these planes.
Oh, you're right. That was the first scene. The
Right.
fuel.
The fuel. So we also start to learn that, oh, like your plane can only be up there for so long and you start to drip fuel or whatever. And then we find out, or we see that, I guess, one of the planes up there, their fuel gets into Tom Cruise's little, what would you call it? A propeller?
I guess.
The spinny?
The spinning
A
thing.
turbine. And it
That's it.
causes a fire on board.
Really?
Nightmare.
This is
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And then, so they have to eject.
Because I know they were calling it a black spin.
Yeah. I
And
think
they
what
started
happened.
spinning, and it was like uncontrollable, is all
Yeah,
I know.
because well, I did have to look it up online, but I think what they said is that some gas or something from another plane got into the spinny part and it caused like it to malfunction.
There we go.
And
Now
then,
you're speaking my language.
yeah,
Cool. Got
yeah,
it.
and let me talk like Charlie. The
Do it.
spinny wigger thinger is on fire. So
Not funny, but funny.
they
They're like in a
eject.
tailspin of death.
Yeah, and they eject.
He's like, come on, Goose. Come on, Goose. Like, I can't reach it. You got to pull the thing. Eject, eject, eject. And then they do, and then they end up in the water.
They do. Tom Cruise ejects fine. Goose, I guess we're supposed to understand, hits something on his way out. I think he hits, like, because the plane was spinning. So when he ejects, he hits the wing or something like that. And he
I just thought
doesn't make it.
I just thought he got like a little scrambled up there.
Me too.
And he had got like the nosebleed of death or something.
Yeah, it looks like a
then-
nosebleed when he's on the ground or in the water.
In the water. And they end up in the water. And it's a real sad day. And that's when I thought, wow, they trashed a $30 million plane on a training exercise. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, that's another kind of through line of the movie.
Points, boys.
Is they're constantly like, okay, guys, this is taxpayer money. Like let's be responsible.
And
okay,
that's
but
why Maverick is in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's reckless with that money.
Right. And this is just a weird scene because, okay, he dies. And he dies, I mean, to die in a training program?
Yeah, not a fan of that.
So strange. And then they make it really quick because then like the next scene is they clear him of all charges. And they say...
Well, let's not glaze over the fact that Tom Cruise is like crying in the bathroom mirror. And then that instructor just comes in and goes, Goose is dead. It's
it's very strange.
Abrupt. It is so fast.
And then
he's
Iceman
like, get
also,
over it.
Yeah,
he literally says, get over it.
He's like, get over it. This happens.
Yeah. The
He's
Goose
like,
is
it's
dead.
Very normal.
Get over it. Bathroom scene was shocking.
I mean, not that it would have made it any better for him to like have been killed by an enemy combatant, but I would just be like, he died during a training exercise. It doesn't make any sense.
I think that's like really supposed to. We're at that point in the movie. We're supposed to go. Is Maverick's like intense solo work?
Yeah.
Getting in the way, like killing people, and we're supposed to be like, is he like his dad? Did he cause this?
Right. Did he cause this death?
Yeah.
And
but you're right. After some sad scenes with Meg Ryan and the kid and everything, and he wants to quit and blah blah blah. We do get the scene of you're cleared of charges. It's not your fault.
which to me, I was like, okay, if anybody should be under investigation, it's the school. So for them to absolve him of all charges felt like they were really gaslighting him a little bit.
They were really taking charge of the optics of it all, honestly.
Yeah. They're like, don't worry,
this is your
we
fault.
forgive you. We forgive you.
We forgive you for killing your wingman. It's not your fault.
I was like, seems like the program is at fault, no? And
They just said that they spun out in such a velocity that it was like impossible to get control over.
Impossible. Right.
And
yeah, because I guess he's the pilot. So
it still feels like they were making it about money. They were like, it's not your fault you trashed a $30 million plane, is what they were saying.
The concern is for sure that the plane was destroyed.
Yeah. What's the litigation was not over a death. It almost felt like it was like.
No. And no one seems concerned that he's dead.
No, it was like
everyone's
the $30
sort of
million
like, well,
plane,
this is
collateral
Top
damage.
Gun. It is Top Gun.
It is
so
Top Gun.
It was funny though, because after this scene, every character is constantly coming up to Tom Cruise and being like, "Are you over it yet? Are you done?
Are you done being
whining?"
sad?
It was very much like, and we see this out through a lot of the other star vehicles too. It's just like such a funny way to think about mental health, where it's like, okay, what do I need to do to get over this one traumatic event?
Get right back in the air.
Then you're healed. And they show us very clearly like, oh, he doesn't want to fly anymore. He's not a good pilot anymore because he is traumatized and he needs to be fixed quick.
And he does get back up in the air, but he kind of chickens out real quick.
Yeah, he's not his favorite. He's not really...
It's not his favorite.
No. And no one ever says, oh, maybe you need a few days off, or maybe you
Take
need
a vacation.
take a vacation. And
Well, because he does want to quit, or he does go to quit.
yeah, he goes to quit.
But he somehow ends up at teacher's house.
Well, right. Yeah, I think he's going to the teacher's house either to quit or for advice or something like that. And he
Yeah.
sees on the teacher's wall not his sexy teacher, just the male teacher who
Yeah,
he
just the male
respects.
teacher. Points
Different.
boys. Points boys.
Points for the boys. And the wife is there and she's like insufferable.
Steven.
Remember that? She walks in and she goes, Maverick! Oh!
Steven, every time you
What?
call a
She was
woman
the worst?
insufferable.
No.
The-
Her character was
Yeah,
insufferable.
well, okay, but
Yeah. It was just funny because she was so out of place for the movie.
it's very nasty woman of you, but okay.
Yeah. He notices on the wall that there's photos of his dad with the
The
this
instructor.
head instructor guy. And he
Your old
finds,
man flew with him. Good man.
flew with him. Good man. And he finds out that his dad was not some crackshot pilot. He was pretty good.
He was like, "They'll kill me for telling you this," but and Tom Cruise is like, "This is classified information," and he's like, "Yeah, it's over a border dispute where this happened, but and again, unnamed enemy, just
Yeah.
very Cold War. I feel like,
Yeah.
like who is the enemy? I don't know." And
Well, I
he's
think that
like,
was Vietnam. He does say that his dad was Vietnam.
no, it was Vietnam.
Okay.
But I'm just saying in 1986, what's going on?
Oh, yeah. We still don't know who we're fighting.
Yeah, what's going on in 86? It's like it's an enigma.
Yeah.
It's a phantom. So he's like, yeah, this is classified because of what side of the border it took place on. There's like a lot of dispute, but your old man, not his fault. He died, but blah blah blah. And this is kind of where Maverick is like absolved of
Absolved
like,
of
guilt,
his sin.
of his sins. He goes back to flight school to graduate,
Yeah.
right?
Well, then, yeah, the next day is graduation. The guy says, listen, you have enough points to graduate, so just come to graduation. He graduates. He finds out that the other guy, Iceman, rightfully so,
Is the
wins
winner.
the Top Gun award.
Duh.
And then they get like these fun letters. Everyone gets a letter.
This was like straight up out of Charlie's Angels for me. I was dead. It
Well,
was
it's just
like
the
your
letters
first
were
mission.
so funny to me because they all go to the same place, even though they all got different points.
They all got different letters too. I was dead.
Couldn't we have just said, okay, you guys are all going to?
He's calling everyone's nickname. He's like Iceman, Hollywood, Merlin, Maverick, and
Yeah,
he's
Merlin.
just handing out the letters, and I'm
Yeah.
fucking dead.
It was funny, and then they all end up going essentially back to like the same ship in the beginning, I assume, unless it's somewhere different. I have no idea.
And they're getting briefed, and Iceman at the end goes up to his instructor and he goes, "I don't mean to be like mean or rude or whatever, but Maverick, are you sure?
He's a little nuts.
Are we sure you can handle it?" I
And-
started crying. Like, I died laughing at this point because it's such a movie thing to
Yeah.
whisk them straight from graduation day into combat.
Yeah, I mean, we also have to keep in mind there's like 10 minutes left in the movie, so it's like we have to move quickly, and yeah, and so we get to another this battleship, and they're again even during the mission or like the briefing, like you were saying, even if you're paying very close attention, you have no idea what they're doing. They are going to
No
go
clue.
up in the air and do a thing.
Yeah, and do a thing against some enemy. And my whole thing was like, do you ever have this much notice? They had a ton of time to get there.
Yeah.
To get in the air.
For something that seemed like there was an enemy combatant
There
moments
now.
away.
Yeah, they're in the air now.
Yeah, and you're right. Iceman's like, listen, he's nuts, so
Yeah,
I
are
don't
you
want him
sure?
being my tail.
And at this point in the movie, Maverick has not redeemed himself yet. He's still kind of scared.
He's still scared. So the instructor was like, no, we don't have anyone else. So, sorry.
These are all the people that graduated, you idiot. Look around.
Yeah, there's like
This
six
is-
of you, so...
This is your wingman.
Yes, this is your wingman. And then they get up in the sky, and this scene, to me, was the most confusing scene in the movie, because unlike the first one, I knew even less about what we were doing in the sky.
I thought it was
At all.
awesome.
And I guess we engage in some sort of like a dogfight, but it becomes therapy in the sky for Tom Cruise.
Yes, it
And he
does.
heals himself.
I have to admit, didn't know who his number 2 was.
Yeah.
Because of the cutting, I couldn't tell who his number 2 was. I think it was Merlin.
I have no
sitting
idea.
behind
It
him.
was somebody else. Obviously not
Somebody
Goose.
else. Obviously not.
Obviously not Goose. So they're fighting, but things go south because I guess they end up getting taken over by these other enemy planes, and then
I have to admit, same stakes. They were trying to get it to be like this is higher stakes because it is
correct.
the finale.
Correct.
For me, the viewer, almost the same stakes as Flight School.
Right, but also
Virtually the same.
what was missing from this scene that I think would have been interesting is that arguably Tom Cruise does more advanced flying before school.
Yeah.
And like we don't see them do a move here that they like learned or that they've been workshopping.
Yeah, a maneuver.
At school.
Yeah.
So that they
he
learned,
learns the lesson he needs to learn, which is protect your wingman.
And trust me.
Yeah. Trust me. You're going to need to trust the pilot.
You're going to need to trust us for what happens in the next 30 minutes. And one of the planes gets shot down, unclear if they're dead. And
the airplane, one of the
Americans, yeah.
Yeah, and then they eject with the
Yeah. And
yeah, actually you're right. Do they get parachuted out? Maybe.
I don't know.
Not.
So
that was
basically,
intense.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but Tom Cruise saves the day and protects Iceman, and they end up taking out these enemy fighters.
Very clear dialogue too. His number 2 was like, "Come on, let's get out of here," and he's like, "I'm not leaving my wingman."
Right, that's good.
And I was like, "Wow,
that was
Hollywood.
a good line. That was
movie
a good line.
dialogue, good lines."
And they're victorious, and it is exciting, and they land to Celebration.
Oh, I died at this point. Everyone in the room, like the what's the room called where you're calling the shots? The something room.
Control
yeah, like the
center?
Control center or whatever.
No, situation room.
Yeah, everyone in the situation room when they win, everyone just goes, "Yeah!"
Command center, maybe.
Yeah. Everyone just does like a fist bump in the air.
Yeah,
like,
it's
yes!
the same. It's the same energy from the first scene where everyone's like, "Wow, they did it!
They did it! They really did it!"
And Iceman gives us a little bit of a fake out when he lands, and he goes, "Hey,
you!"
I forget what he says, but
you could be my wingman any day.
And then they kiss.
No,
oh darn.
We wish.
And
a lot of people online making the case that it's like sort of sexually confusing. That a lot of men in each other's faces. They're saying like the sexual tension. People are claiming there's sexual tension between Iceman and Maverick. I didn't see it.
You know what's interesting is that a complaint we have about some of the other movies is that what would be a really interesting plot gets derailed by a useless romance. I think the movie could have been even more interesting if there was no romance and it really was about these male friendships and they sort of portrayed it in a little bit of a healthy light like we see here.
Yeah.
Because what's more interesting... Yeah, I mean, they've arguably gone through more than he has with this instructor, and it's just a more interesting relationship than his like weird power trip dynamic with the instructor. So
yeah. This is real. This movie is snack food for for like Hollywood lovers. Like it has everything, and we know that they added the sexy time scenes.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's a point for the boys in the sense that like, okay, the boys did it. Obviously, there's no women pilots, so we needed men to fix the problem. But I think it's also a little point for the girls because it's like, oh, look, guys can be gentle too.
Yeah, with each other.
Yeah. Even if they don't do it in front of you, they're gentle.
Hey,
and then
you can be my partner any day.
Then he like Titanic's Goose's dog tag. He throws it in the ocean.
Didn't love that. I was like, can we keep those?
I thought we should have held on to it.
I thought we should have held on to one for
it was just like a weird way. I mean, obviously what they're trying to do is let us know he's over it.
He's
right?
okay now. He
just felt
doesn't need them.
I think like when you throw something in the ocean like that, it's usually meant to say like, I don't want to think about this anymore. Like
points for the boys, stuff your emotions down and never bring this up again.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's like what this scene is saying is that I will never think about my dead friend again.
You actually said I'm over it, and that's the scene.
I'm over it. And then this was a very kind of like funny parallel to the beginning scene. But then he goes to meet with like the commander, whatever, in the basement of the ship, whatever you call it. And the guy goes, it's great news. You can pick whatever job anywhere you would like.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is like, I think I'd like to be an instructor.
I think I'm gonna be a teacher.
And
I went, what?
What? And the guy goes, God help us all.
God help us all.
And I was like, it truly is funny because I'm like, it's like the old expression, those who can't do, teach.
This movie got me. It was reverse engineered to hit on all the levels that we go to the movies for. Like I said, it's snack food. This is like a bag of Doritos and Coke.
Cool Ranch.
This is Cool Ranch Doritos and a Coke for the masses. Literal opiate for the masses, this movie. I have full body chills. I laughed, I cried, I screamed at the dialogue. Good. I flipped out at the sex scenes. Like, this movie had it all. And that callbacky nature of it all at the end, I think I'm gonna be a teacher. It's too goddamn perfect. The celebration at the end, like, we did it. It's like Star Wars, you know. It's we did it. We got the Death Star. It's
also
so
like,
good
when the movie ends, and this is something that is great to see. There are no questions.
None. Everything's tied
There's
up.
nothing
Everything
left
is tied.
for you to think about.
Not a thing. And that's what we want in a Star Vehicle.
Because even if you're like, wait, what's going to happen with that lady instructor? It's like, clearly he's going to go back and they're going to get married.
Clearly he's going to marry her in a small town ceremony.
Instructor.
And she's going to wear white like she's a virgin.
Yeah. So there's something very comforting about that. Because then the movie, like he gets back to the flight school, whatever, Top Gun. And everything is good.
It's literally that's that on that.
That's that on that. And then we get a reverse slideshow. Now we get the slideshow at the end where they flash everyone's picture and it tells you their name and the actor's name.
That's my favorite thing that the movies do. I love when we do this. It's like
Meg Ryan didn't make the cut, but everybody else above Meg Ryan was in the slideshow, which is just funny.
Big enough yet.
Because that means there's only one woman in the slideshow.
Points for the boys. This is
now
real
she's not in the new one.
Damn.
But my favorite and like truly I think like the most beautiful woman in the world, Jennifer Connelly, is in it.
I did see that when I Googled, and I don't want to know who she is. And I think Jennifer Connelly is one of the most beautiful.
She is like the most beautiful person in the world.
I think her, not that you asked, and Rachel Weisz. Gorgeous. Yeah,
they're similar. They have a similar look. I think Jennifer Connelly is just like
stunning. It's the eyebrows for me.
Yeah, she actually looks a lot like Demi Moore. So
you're right. The three of them, sisters.
Yeah,
let's get
sisters.
A movie going.
Oh, do a movie. Okay.
Would love. Okay, write that down. Write that down, everybody. Write it down.
They could be 3 instructors at something.
Yeah. I just had all the chills. Like, this is a movie of chills. This is a feel-good popcorn flick. Yeah. It's stupid how much I love this movie. It makes I shouldn't. It is so, bait. It feels like bait.
Well, I think how it works is that because Tom Cruise has that real life crazy person energy, he is able to full body commit to it.
Yeah.
And like, there's never a scene in the movie where you say, oh, Tom Cruise is only like giving us 50%.
No.
And I think that's why it works, because if you had a lead who was not giving 110 in literally every scene, it would remind you that it's dumb.
This is dumb.
But because he's telling us it's not dumb and that it's actually very, very serious.
Yeah, it's like, I'm okay.
You're okay. It actually, you know what? That's it. Going back to what we said at the very beginning about like when you see somebody like an actor like struggling and it just makes you uncomfortable. It's like his overly serious performance actually puts you at ease.
I agree with that. He's almost giving too much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the problem with the other,
he's just giving weight to stuff that no one else is like really giving.
Right. And this is a problem with so many of the other star vehicles too. Or not a problem. It's just what makes them so fun is that when you have the lead who's the only three-dimensional character in the movie, that means everybody else is inherently one-dimensional. So it's
Yes,
almost like
by
somebody's
comparison.
living in 3D in a 2D world
Yeah.
and they just stand out.
Yeah. Yeah. So many close-ups on his blue eyes.
Like no one else in the movie goes through a change. No one else in the movie learns anything. No one else in the movie
It's Maverick's movie.
changes position or anything
Pete
like that.
Mitchell is his name. Pete Mitchell. I
Didn't
was
know that.
wondering who chose the nicknames. You're right. Everyone looks one-dimensional. Arguably, Meg Ryan gave such like depth to her role. I believed her.
Yeah, I mean, she showed up and gave us a
She
performance.
did the homework,
Yeah, she gave us a fun performance. I mean,
but not her
Anyway,
movie. Ultimately, not her movie.
not our movie. And they
Not
let you
her
know
movie.
at the end with the slideshow.
Yeah, this isn't. She's not top billed. Not even close.
Yeah.
Ugh. Like I said, I'm embarrassed how much I loved this movie. The first
Yeah.
time I remember liking it. The second time, loved it. Laughed, cried. Chills.
Yeah.
Chills everywhere.
Well, it's just
it
it was good to rewatch it because for me, like, if like I was saying, I don't know if I said it on the air already, but if I'm gonna rewatch a Tom Cruise movie, which I do many times, I love like I could watch Mission Impossible, any of them except for Mission Impossible 3, any day of the week.
I've never
and-
seen one. Not once.
Really? Oh, they're so
once.
good. And that movie American Made, so good. But
Never seen.
what? Okay.
I don't like action movies. I stay away.
Well, me neither, but I like the Mission Impossible ones because they're not really violent. Like there's no blood. So,
okay. I'm gonna watch. I think I'm gonna at least watch Mission Impossible 1.
okay. It'll feel really dated, but
Okay.
you can watch the newer ones, so good.
I was only gonna start at 1 because I feel like you have to. 1, 2, skip 3.
I mean, if you haven't seen them, I guess
Haven't.
you have to start at the beginning. It's canon. So,
Yikes.
anyway, 5 out of 5.
Loved it.
I loved
5
the
out of
mo- I
5.
loved
10 out of
it.
10. Great movie.
Oh, and here's the last thing I will say. I think that it helps you enjoy a movie like Night and Day even more because you can see in a movie like Night and Day how he is really making fun of himself. Because the movie of Night and Day, the character he plays is a true parody of a character like this who
Yeah.
takes themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
And like there is no enemy in Night and Day. Like you have no idea who it is. And like you have no idea what we're fighting for. And yet the character is so serious. So like I said,
That was a really good observation on your point. I'll just
Thank you.
point out. Like, yeah, he's taking it the
And don't-
most serious.
don't tell me, I don't want to hear it, that he's a crazy person. I know it.
We know.
I don't
It's
care.
okay. Yeah. I'm separating.
I mean, I
choosing
care
to
in the
separate
sense that I
them.
care, but I don't care.
I care in the
I don't
sense
care
that
to
I
know
like,
it.
I care because I really like Katie Holmes
Oh, I love Katie Holmes.
and her daughter, and I hope they're okay.
Oh, they're doing
You know what I
great.
mean? And Nicole Kidman seems to be just
Oh, she's doing great.
thriving. So, but yeah, you don't have to tell us. We know he's
You don't have to tell
nuts.
us. We know.
He's
we know
batty.
he's nuts. But
It's embarrassing that I love him. I think, yeah, I think that
anyway, we're
I
gonna.
just can't believe the repetition of the songs in this. That's kind of my ending point.
Yeah.
Take my breath away.
So
I
literal.
would have loved a little instrumental at some point, but it's the
Yeah.
full song.
Yeah, there's not really. I mean, there is a score to the movie, but you
Barely.
don't.
It's
you
like
don't.
synth heavy.
Yeah, you don't really know the score because it's just the songs.
Take
Anyway,
my breath away.
anyway, that's that on that.
And that's not on that, folks. So
And that's a
you
wrap.
have been listening to season one of the Star Vehicle podcast. We will be back with season 2, maybe
Who
next
knows when?
week.
Maybe next week. Maybe when we watch Top Gun Maverick when it comes out
Maybe
on
Top
May
Gun
25th.
Maverick, maybe not. I still want to see The Lost City with Sandra Bullock. I want to get back to her. We should get Channing Tatum on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a wrap on season 1. Let's just say it's for the optics of it all, so we can keep it neat on
You know what? I will say this. I
Where
think
you
one
get your
thing that we
pods.
did intentionally or unintentionally is that we really developed a clear curriculum and units. And I think what we need to do, like any good teacher during the summer, is figure out our curriculum for next year.
Exactly.
And
Good idea.
we need to zero in on the stars and that we want to focus on and pick, their trilogy of films and really design another highly effective curriculum.
Yeah. That does build on previous.
Oh, absolutely.
Works.
I mean, there's so many stars
yes.
to talk about.
So you're going to want to catch up on any episode you missed.
Yeah.
Go back and hit them. Even if you haven't seen the movie, I would argue that would be the most important one to listen to if you haven't.
Listen, watch the movie, listen again.
Yeah, and who knows what shenanigans we'll be up to in season 2, Who knows who will get on the pod. Not us.
No.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. Maybe Gwyneth.
We should. Gwyneth.
Yeah, I want to do the pallbearer. No.
Sliding Doors.
Sliding Doors. It's such a good movie.
It's
and the one where she's the flight attendant. That actually view from the top.
That's good. I think I want to do Kate Hudson next season too.
Kate Hudson. Like there's so many other.
Like Raising Helen raised me. And it's so sad.
Well, people will just have to stay tuned.
And please leave us a review. We haven't had a review in so long on Apple Podcasts. Tell us why we're your favorite pod.
Yeah, tell us.
Please and thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Well, actually, I kind of just want to ask, Steven, do you have like any standouts from season 1? Is there a moment that we had in the season? Is there a revelation that we had? Is there a movie that just like blew your mind? Is there, I guess we would have covered that in our Academy Awards.
Yeah, I think that for me, what was the one person who really shouldn't have surprised me, but made me fall even more in love with them was Cameron Diaz.
Nice. I think we need more of her.
You sort of forget how funny she is in a way that some of the other stars don't have a natural comedic energy to them. And I had forgotten how funny she was. I
know. I think it's because she is such a pretty face and like straight up got into this because she's a model. Yeah, I forgot too. She's hilarious. I would love to get more Cameron.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, we did a few. I also think that the one actor that I think we struggled with the most, or I'll say I struggled with the most in trying to figure out like what to even talk about, was somebody who I thought we wouldn't, which was Julia Roberts. And she was the one to me who was sort of less of a surprise and more of like more the movie surprised me more than her performance, versus with Cameron Diaz, her performances really, really stood out in a way that I don't think she always gets the credit for.
Yeah, we're having a hard time with Star Vehicles and Julia Roberts only because I can't put my finger on it. Because we love her. I love her. Aaron
Obviously.
Brockovich.
I mean, Mona Lisa Smile is like one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
I know. We just struggled to find an angle.
And I think one other surprise. I think, okay, let me get one other surprise out there.
Let's hear it. I'm ready.
If you would have told me when we started that, and I have to do the math, but I would say that if she's not the number 1 or the number 2 most number of movies we've done,
I know who you're going to say.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. What? Why did we cover so many of hers?
I would have not believed you. So that was
a
pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that.
That's totally that on that.
But
so leave us a review.
Season 2.
Yeah, leave us a review, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about us, send the pod, and we will see you for season 2.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye everyone. Bye Steven.
Bye.